Laura Knight's Cassiopeian experiments, often associated with the Cassiopeia material, involves the exploration of consciousness, spirituality, and the nature of reality. Through various methodologies, including channeling and psychic experiments, Knight and her collaborators sought to communicate with higher intelligences, particularly a group of entities referred to as the Cassiopeians. The primary aim was to gain insight into the metaphysical questions, the nature of existence, and human development. The experiments included multi-session discussions that cover topics like multidimensional realities, free will, and the influence of higher dimensional beings on humanity. Knight recorded these sessions, which often contained profound philosophical and esoteric insights, and these records became part of a larger body of work that aimed to explore consciousness beyond conventional scientific understanding. The overall tone of the experiments reflect a blend of skepticism and deep inquiry into the nature of consciousness and our place in the universe. Laura Knight began her communication with the Cassiopeians in 1994. She is still in communication with the Cassiopeians to this day. If you would like a better understanding of the Cassiopeians and their impact on humanity, I would highly suggest checking out the Wave series by Laura Knight, the Cassiopeian Forum, which a link will be provided in the description box below, or purchasing the book that I personally am reading from that contains all of the transcripts and conversations between Laura and the Cassiopeians. The Cassiopeians base the soul's evolution and consciousness on the spiritual template known as the Law of One. The Law of One is also known as the raw material. It is a series of philosophical texts that emerged from a series of channeling sessions conducted by Carla Rucker, Don Elkins, and Jim McCarthy in the early 1980s. The sessions involved channeling a consciousness known as Ra, who claimed to be a collective of extraterrestrial beings from the sixth density. The key concepts in the Law of One are unity and oneness. The central tenet of the Law of One is that all beings are fundamentally interconnected and are expressions of the same universal consciousness. The phrase, "we are all one," encapsulates this idea, emphasizing that unity is the essence of existence. It also covers the densities of existence. The material describes the cosmos as composed of multiple densities or levels of existence. Each density represents a stage of spiritual evolution, with humans currently experiencing a third density, which is characterized by lessons in love, understanding, and most importantly, making choices. We also seek to understand in the Law of One soul evolution. According to Ra, souls undergo a process of evolution through these densities, learning and growing through various incarnations. The choice between these paths influences one's spiritual evolution and the experiences one encounters in life. There's also discussions of the role of free will. Free will is considered sacred, and individuals are encouraged to explore and make choices regarding their spiritual development without interference from higher beings. If you would like more information on the Law of One, please make sure to check out the material for yourself. A link to all resources will be posted down in the description box below. But for now, let's get on with the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. Of course, my name is Bryce, as promised. Here is our look at the Man in the Iron Mask, amongst some other things, with the Cassiopeians. Now, as you know, if you've been here, on Monday, I released the reading before this reading, because in this reading, they do reference that reading, which I thought that reading was really fascinating anyway. They used Frank as a channel instead of using the board. Now, one thing I want to bring to your attention, after I was done with that reading, I actually went and said something to my boyfriend. We know from the Cassiopeian boards that Angkor Wat, this Cambodian city that obviously scientists, historians, archaeologists have completely wrong, according to the Cassiopeians. We were told in that last reading, that reading will be down in the description box below, that we did on Monday, that Angkor Wat was built by the Lizzies for their worshipers to worship them. We also know from prior readings that the Denver airport is a huge scandal. Now, something that came to my attention as I was doing these readings is that the Denver airport's design looks a lot like Angkor Wat's design. You can definitely see what kind of aesthetics the Lizzies like. And as they say, symbolism will be their downfall, but nonetheless, there you go. I love your opinions on that. As always, the Cassiopeians, if you're new here, are allegedly a group of six density beings that come from the star constellation of Cassiopeia. They have been talking to Laura Knight for about 31 years now. I am very intrigued by the Cassiopeians because they use the template of the Law of One, and they have some shocking information, and they haven't been wrong. Even though some of their information is so drastically different from what we've been told in the mainstream media as well as in the alternative media. But for the Cassiopeians, it is no skin off their back. They're just here to tell us the truth, whether we want to hear it or not. I also appreciate the Cassiopeians do not interfere with our own free will, and they will not bring up things unless we ask them. So with that being said, they are also, they're also going off the template of the Law of One. So if you have not read the Law of One, I would definitely highly suggest looking into that. To me, the Law of One makes perfect sense. It talks about we're in a third density planet. We're either going to go service to self or service to others, X, Y, and Z. But with that being said, as I told you guys, what I want to start doing is I want to start going to the forum and looking and entering in topics that we've already covered on this channel, like with Mystery Monday and deep dives, just to kind of see what the Cassiopeians have to say. And in this particular reading, there are a few topics that we have covered on this channel, including the man in the iron mask and including the missing Anastasia Romanoff. So let's go ahead and get into it today. All right, so this is from the 23rd of October, 1994. What we did on Monday was the 22nd of October, 1994. We've got Frank and Laura again in Fiji. As I said to you guys on Monday's episode, Frank no longer works with Laura anymore. There was always a lot of tension between the two of them. I think it's, in my opinion, as an outsider looking in, it does seem to look like a lot of clashing of egos, but that's to be expected in any type of work where humans are involved, right? So see the October 22nd session, direct channeling with Frank, for context. Question, Laura, hello. So again, with the October 22nd session, they were using Frank as a channel versus using the board. So they typically work on a board, but the day before they had used Frank. Now they're back on the board. Okay, so Laura, hello. Hello, join mirth, Laura. I am not unmirthed. Who is with us tonight? Onokoya? Where are you from? Same. Are you Cassiopeian? Yes. Last night, we tried direct channeling through Frank. I was not entirely satisfied with the results. Can you tell me what the status was, and should we pursue that avenue? Yes. Was Frank operating as a clear channel last night? Partly. What was the nature of the interference? Static, electromagnetic. What is the origin of the static? Various. Channels must be grooved, and this one has been. Laura, is it correct that we should persist with practice for him to become a clearer channel? Yes. How often should we do this? Open, but one type per week should work. How long will it take to groove to clear the channel? Open. Was the trance technique acceptable? Choose another. Could you give suggestions? Opening. So I should suggest another thing for the opening of the channel. Good idea. Subject, you are drifting, falls, etc. What visual image should I give him in suggestion to open the channel? Up to you. You are now probing in lieu of learning. All right, I want to talk about this for a second, because I talked a lot about this with my boyfriend, and of course he's been a part of this for a very long time. He introduced me to these. I feel, in my opinion, and this is no shade to Laura whatsoever, I think this happens with human beings a lot. Again, I pick up with this that Laura is very, very jealous of Frank. That's what I pick up on. I understand from what I've been reading that Frank probably wasn't the easiest person to deal with. In one of the readings that I read through, not on this channel, but on my own, Laura gets really upset by Frank, I guess, gets, he has some negative energy sometimes. And so she got on the board, and I think she wanted the Cassiopeians to chastise Frank, but they didn't. They basically told her that she was kind of in the wrong. And what I picked up on looking at Laura and Frank, and now this is just my own, I could be wrong, this is just my own perspective of the situation. And as somebody myself who has experienced a lot of paranormal phenomenon my whole life, I know that Laura has gone through a lot of shit since she started doing this work. However, it doesn't appear that she went through a whole lot of spiritual shit before she started doing this work. With Frank, it seems like Frank has been beaten up by spirits his whole life. And I can relate to that because I'm a target for paranormal phenomenon. I've talked about this a lot. My boyfriend thinks it's hysterical because all of a sudden, like one day I was getting out of the shower and I was drying off and I had my back towards him and he just saw 3 slash marks just across my back. And he just thinks it's the wildest thing ever, that if there's any type of paranormal phenomenon, it's going to attack me. And I think that is, again, has been happening to Frank. So I understand Frank's agitation. I think that when you are open to paranormal phenomenon, if you've been an open channel your whole life, what tends to happen is PTSD. You do or see PTSD. There is a lot of trauma around this because it's not like you really chose it. And I think that Laura does not have that experience of having that happen as a child, which I have had that experience. And so the empathy isn't there. I think that she's very jealous of Frank because I think Frank is more potent than she is. It doesn't mean that Frank is a better human being than she is. They're equally valuable as human beings. But I think just for some reason, Frank, he's more receptive and more open to, maybe it's his blood type. I don't know. I know I'm that way as well. It's like you don't really want to be able to do this, but you can, but you don't really want to because it's not, again, most of the time when there's interference from spiritual beings, it's negative because beings of the light do not want to interfere with your free will. They would never do that. Or it's like an earth-based spirit that doesn't know what it's doing. And so, I mean, think about it this way, just to kind of give some kind of light on what Frank, from my experience, what I experienced. Imagine that every single day of your life, you were just being beat up, physically beat up, just punched, punch. But there was nothing you could do about it. That's what it's like to be born like this. And it takes a long time to learn how to control that. And even after you learn how to control that, it still doesn't stop. You constantly have to be on edge. Like I now know, when you're an open channel, your energy gets siphoned a lot from other beings. And I used to think it was weird that I would go to certain places and I would all of a sudden get so tired that I could hardly keep my eyes open. Now I know what that is. Now I know that something is feeding off of me in a particular place. And for me, the easiest solution is to remove myself from the location. So instead of trying to stay there and cut myself off and say no, I just remove myself. And this can happen anywhere at any time. And so, and my boyfriend's experienced that with me before, where all of a sudden we get to like a hiking trail or something, and all of a sudden I can hardly put one foot in front of the other, and he knows we got to go. That something there is feeding off of me. And so this is a never-ending assault when you are like Frank or like me. But other people see that about you and they get jealous because for some reason the ego is like, oh, this person is, the spirits from the other side obviously, can see this person. I want them to see me. No, you don't. No, you don't. And I get a lot of like raging jealousy from Laura. Now, at this point in 1994, as we talked about yesterday, Laura is still coming into these readings with a lot of programming from like the church. And they even said something to her in the reading we did on Monday about like the obsession, that obsession blocks knowledge. And so to kind of just let it go. And so I think what we're seeing here, and I do applaud Laura for putting this up because from my opinion, it doesn't make her look good. Like looking at these earlier readings, I have a lot of empathy for Frank, and I see Laura as kind of bullying him a little bit. I don't think she means it, but I think there's just a lot of shadow work that Laura needs to do around jealousy. And this is in 1994. She's probably totally different now, and she's probably totally changed now, but that's just my perception. So when they talk, so right here, it seems like she's trying to get the Cassiopeians to once again bash Frank. She does this a lot. She tries to get the Cassiopeians to take her side, I think, again, because she's very jealous of Frank. And so humans do that. We tend to do that where we project our insecurities onto other people. And the Cassiopeians have never really backed her. They've always been very empathetic towards Frank. Now, when it comes about the reading we did on Monday, she left a note at the beginning, which I read it about how negative it was. And I actually loved that reading. I didn't see anything negative about the reading that we did on Monday. I saw nothing negative about it. It was all very informative. It was all very much like stuff we needed to know. And it also mirrored the Law of One, which I know at this point in the 1994s, she's just now learning the Law of One, whereas I have been studying it for a while. So I think she perceived it as negative because it was Frank as the one channeling it. If it had been anybody else, she might not have perceived it as negative. So I just want you to kind of notice this. And the Cassiopeians, again, are amazing at basically calling out the bullshit. They don't sway to somebody else's ego, right? So, and so even here, they said, they're saying, good idea, subject, you are drifting, falls. Like they call her out when she's actually trying to manipulate. I see a lot of, in the beginning, and this is, again, no shade to Laura. I really respect her for putting up this stuff that doesn't actually make her, it takes a lot of guts to put this up when it doesn't make you look that great. And it doesn't. A lot of these early 90s readings don't make Laura look that great. She's very manipulative. She seems to be very manipulative in these readings. And so I do applaud her for actually having the balls to put this out. So I do applaud her. She's probably very humble now. And so they kind of stop her on that. Like, you're drifting a bit. Like, don't try to manipulate to make Frank the bad guy because you are jealous of Frank's abilities. All right. I hope that makes sense. All right. What visual image should I give him in suggestion to open the channel? Up to you. You're now probing in lieu of learning. See, you are now probing in lieu of learning. We're not going to give you all the answers. We're going to give you some answers, but you have to actually take the initiative to learn for yourself. Okay, Laura, redacted. Can you tell me about her physical condition? Thyroid and estrogen count, psychological problems caused by thyroid. Is there anything with her heart or her aorta? Thyroid. How long after mankind was engineered by the Cassiopeians did they live on Earth in harmonious Edenic condition before the zapping by the lizards? Mankind was not engineered by us. Well, were we created by you? No. Then how did mankind come to be here? And I don't know where she got this idea that the Cassiopeians created mankind. They talked about how the Lizzies came in and altered us, but I don't know if it's because the Cassiopeians have been around for a while and they've been guiding other people that maybe she's confusing them for like God. I don't know, but they're like, we didn't create you. We're just higher density beings. So, well, then how did mankind come to be here? Answer, combination of factors. Numerous souls desired physical existence, then was altered by the three forces, including principally the Lizzies through the Greys, Nephilim, and the Orion Union. So in the reading that we did on Monday, they talked a lot about this through Frank as the conduit. Now they're on the board, and the board is saying the same thing, that souls desired physical existence. And so if you want more information on that, do go back and look at Monday's episode. Again, that will be in the description box below. But it definitely backs like the Yoga Sutras and the Vedic text as well, and the Emerald Tablets too. Tell us again, who are the Nephilim? Enforcers, slaves of Orion from planet C3, or third star, third planet. You said the other night that the Nephilim came from some area around the constellation Scorpio. Is that correct? Originally seated there, but you were too. We were originally seated somewhere else. Where? Orion? What is the name of that planet? Diankiar? Ankh is an ancient symbol of this planet. It's a female symbol, stands for mother planet. So that's interesting. The Ankh is an ancient symbol from our original seeding planet. And that's kind of silly. You know, we move around. Like, I was born in South Carolina. I've lived all over the world. I've lived in California. I've India, Europe, Africa, Australia. So just because I was born in South Carolina, now I live in Atlanta, does not mean that that's where I have to stay. So they're saying, yeah, they came from one planet, but they're originally from another. People move, things move. But that's interesting about the Ankh. Is this other planet our original home? Yes. What is it like to be back home? Spent, cindered, burned up. So it's true, you can't go home. Yes. These Nephilim, how tall were they again? Up to 15 feet maximum. Was Goliath, who was killed by David, one of the Nephilim? Yes, in legend. Actual event depicted in the story was earlier. Was it actually David and Goliath? Yes. Did he actually slay him with a stone from a slingshot? Close. Were these Nephilim genetically intermixed with human beings? Temporarily. Why only temporarily? DNA conflict. Were they smarter than us? No. Were they bigger and dumber? No. About the same? Yes. Was it difficult for them to live on our planet because of their size and gravity and so forth? Yes. Did they have physical problems here? Yes. When did the last of them die off? 6,000 BC, approximately, one reference. When were they originally brought here? 12,000 BC, approximately, one reference. Please understand, your measurement doesn't make sense. So they say that a lot. They ask them a lot about time. And a lot of times they're like, your measurement of time doesn't make sense to us. We don't do things in time like you do things in time. Let's go back to the three forces. You said numerous souls desired physical existence. When the numerous souls did this, how did physical existence come to be? First was ape-like. That's very interesting. I don't know if it's in this reading, but in some readings they talk about the Neanderthal versus the Cro-Magnon. So like if you are like me, if you're an Rh negative like me, you don't come from the Neanderthal. You come from the Cro-Magnon, which is very fascinating. And then what happened? Did these ape-like beings just pop into the air? What did the souls do with these ape-like beings? Souls altered them by transference. Transference of what? Souls into seated body. Orion Union was the first into Neanderthal. So there we go. They are going to speak about it. The Orion souls came into the Neanderthal bodies? No, put humans there for an incubation process. Were altered ape embryos put back into ape females for gestation? No, only souls. They put souls into ape bodies? Close. So Laura, obviously at this point, I wonder if she's read the Yoga Sutras yet. Because Laura seems to be at this point, again, this was 1994, so this is a long time ago. Her opinion might have changed. This is the crux of suffering, according to Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras. Your body is not your soul. And so sometimes this gets confusing to people who are still stuck in this illusion that their body is their soul. Right? So we see this a lot with religious people where they think that the rising of the dead, the rising in Christ, is bodies coming out of the grave. No, no, no. It's talking about your soul. Your body is mortal. Your soul is not. And so I think what's happening here in this conversation, I get that they're seeding souls into ape-like bodies. I understand that. But I spent 19 years studying the Yoga Sutras, so this makes perfect sense to me. But for somebody who's never even considered the possibility that their personality, that the body they live in now is not the eternity, is not the soul, this would be confusing. Okay. Did the soul's presence in the ape body cause its genetic and DNA to change? Yes, because the soul is the consciousness. Like that's the Shiva and the Shakti. Again, going back to the Yoga Sutras, you have Prakriti and Purusha. Purusha is the soul, is the consciousness. Prakriti is the creation of that soul or the nature of the body. So we have the Shiva and the Shakti. The Shiva is the soul that creates the Shakti, right? The Shakti is the experience. Do they enter into living creatures on this planet to experience 3D reality and by entering in caused mutation? Yes. Then were altered by Orion Union first. They resembled you. Who resembled us? The Orions. We haven't talked too much about the Orions. The Orion Union. There are others in the Orion community. Are some of the Orions not good guys, as we would term it? Yes. Are some of them good guys? Yes. So you're saying that the original creators or genetic engineers were Orions. Close. the original engineers, but not inhabitants. Now, also when we talk about souls and bodies, only a person with a soul can actually shift the DNA of the body. If a person is an organic portal, meaning that they don't have a soul, they can't change the DNA. And actually, in a recent episode with Todd Roderick over on the Esoteric Academy, he does talk about that, about how organic portals will jump into any old body, but souls won't. So if you have a soul, chances are your parents also have souls, because you need specific DNA that's going to be able to hold and house the Shakti of the soul, if that makes sense. Where did the souls come from that entered into the bodies on the planet Earth? Were they the bodies on the other planets before they came here? Not this group. Were they just floating around in the universe somewhere in union with the One? Have you heard the super ancient legend of Lucifer, the fallen angel? Who is Lucifer? Yes, Todd does talk about this. You, the human race. Are the souls of individual humans part of the larger soul? Yes, close, the One. All who have fallen must learn the hard way. Are you saying that the act of wanting to experience physical reality is the act of falling? You are members of a fragmented soul unit. What is it about wanting to be physical is a fall, pleasure for the self? How many people on the planet know what you're teaching us? A few. Are we special in some way to receive this? This is the ego. This is what I mean about Laura. She desperately wants to be special. Especially, I can pick that up here in the beginning readings. There's a lot of ego. There's a lot of manipulation. Now looking at her readings, I think she's definitely shifted and she's grown and she learned. And once again, I want to applaud her for being brave enough, because I don't know, if I look back 31 years ago and saw myself doing what she's doing and how obvious my manipulation was, I don't know if I'd be brave enough to put it out. But she did put it out. So I do thank her for that. But there's no special, right? Like, on the positive side, we're all special. We're all equally special. On the positive side, there's no such thing as an elite bloodline. All bloodlines have different personality traits, different karmas, but they're all equal in value. It's only on the negative side that we have a messiah or a chosen people or an elite bloodline where there's a pecking order. But on God's side, we're all special. So Laura says, are we special in some way to receive this? All are special. How many know? So how many at this point in 1994? 8 so far. Will we be able to teach others? Up to you. Who are the one? Others. No contact right now. Now, at this point, what I'm going to do before we get into the these questions about the Garden of Eden, is I'm actually going to take a moment, you guys. I was going to, for our sponsor, for Esoteric Academy, I was going to show a different clip. But what I think I'm going to do today, because we do want to thank our sponsor, the Esoteric Academy. I love being a part of the Esoteric Academy. On the Esoteric Academy, we have so much on this mystery school that we have created. We have tons and tons and tons of a playlist of exercises. So you guys know, if you've been here for a while, that exercise, physical exercise, is the foundation of all spirituality. If you're new here, that might be shocking to hear that, but you have been lied to about so much. And that's just one of the lies that you've been told. Physical, you got to get in your body. Get in your body, girl. Get in that body. You got to be in there and you got to experience that. You are the fallen angel that came here to experience physical friction. And so we have to go the hard way. We have to go through the suffering, the shadow work, in order to refine ourselves. And so in the Esoteric Academy, we have all these different types of workouts. We also have tons, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of courses over yoga and spirituality. And coming up, we're going to be doing a course over the Law of One and the Cassiopeians combined with the practice of yoga to help you understand how to integrate all these different theories into one practice. We also have forbidden interviews, meditations, all sorts of stuff, you guys. And we're working on building even more stuff. We're going to have places for spiritual music coming up. We also have live calls and live classes, meditations. It's just so fun. So for the Esoteric Academy, you get 7 days of a free trial. If you want to just do the exercise classes, it's only $25 a month, which is really cheap. I mean, yoga studios charge like $160 a month, and you get all of this for only $25 a month. If you want to take the courses too, for an extra $15, $40 a month, you get thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of courses, worth of access to me and other master teachers, everything. But what I'm going to do right now, you guys, all that information for the Esoteric Academy is down in the description box below, but I'm going to play you the long form clip of Todd talking about this, not the short form, but the long form. It's about 7 minutes long. If you've already heard it, you can skip ahead and just skip through it. Otherwise, I hope that you listen to this. Even if you don't ever join the Esoteric Academy, I hope you take the time to listen to what he's saying and really take in what he's saying, because he's kind of talking about what they're talking about in this particular reading.
Then you have to see it through. So you're stuck in the cycle, and you're redoing there, because the fallen angels are us. When they talk about the fallen angels, that is us. We are the fallen angels.
Right.
That's how we're up there in another realm in our innocence. And then the Lizzies, as they call them, said, hey, you all want to try this? There are people up here that do certain things. Like they even said how some, major, social media influencers are undergrounders. Sometimes they know that they are, sometimes they don't know they are. I mean, there's a lot of channeling out there. But it's good to understand what, understand how to recognize legitimate channeling from not so legitimate. Or I'll see certain things in the media, or certain things happening in the world, and it'll bring up a memory of like, oh, the Cassiopeians or raw material, they talked about that. Then maybe I'll go in and dig a little bit, and then it'll bring up all this information that I have, and it may be a little disorganized, but eventually I can sort of piece it together and come to a greater understanding of the material, but also, more importantly, the situation that we're seeing unfold in the world.
And do you think that's really helped you to stay grounded and calm while we've kind of have all of this craziness going on in the world?
Yeah, and how I haven't been caught in this whole thing of, oh, it's a movie just playing out, oh, it's already done, oh, the elite controllers or whatever, they've already surrendered, and we're just have to play this out for the population. It's like bullshit. Like it lacks a foundational understanding of the service to self path. They're never going to give up. Never. And so understanding these foundational, fundamental things about both sides is so important. And that's why the Cassiopeians constantly say, knowledge is going to protect you.
Yes.
It's going to protect you from ways you don't even know and don't even realize. Like, it's going to protect you from believing in lies, because they say that believing in lies is service to self, but also it's soul smashing. It smashes your soul. The more lies you believe in, and the more deeply you ascribe to those lies, the deeper you believe in those lies, the closer you hold those lies, the more you're smashing your soul. Right. Oh yeah, there was another question down there about selling your soul.
I think.
And so I was just touching on that about believing in lies. That's selling your soul. When you deeply believe in the lies. So when you follow the false story, whatever it be, religion, or the story of the white hats are saving us, and this is just a movie, that's selling your soul. It's as simple as that. And there's plenty.
But do you think the key is it's okay to kind of explore all these different little avenues and little cul-de-sacs, as long as you're not attached to them?
Exactly, right. As long as you don't self-identify with it too much, and you'll learn that after with a lot of practice, you'll eventually learn how to do that, and with gathering enough knowledge, and you'll start to understand what the red flags are. Just really digging for the truth, and not falling for stuff.
Yeah. And so having that discernment.
The later storylines that are, and they have discernment, and even if something sounds really exciting and it's something that would be really cool if it was happening, or some discovery or whatever, that to really, before you fully dive into it with belief and self-identifying with it, that to create some distance, and then take your time.
People do need to know about, but I also feel like it comes down to our free will, and that is on that individual person. If they want to find the truth, then they will go search for that. And if they don't want to know the truth, then...
And I think that, the reason why, someone like Trump or whatever is not going to come out with the blatant truth to the masses is because they have to be concerned about keeping, social order.
Yeah, because it would go nuts.
Oh, absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then that would just be horrible for everyday people to try and, I don't want that to happen. And of course, we want to see these justice served to these people that pushed all of this. But I think there's more creative ways that they could bring those people to heal and to find justice instead of going with the route of exposing the whole thing. Because if these people committed these crimes, they've also committed other crimes that are just as bad. That isn't going to cause, that they could be brought in on charges that isn't going to cause social unrest. Because trust me, I've thought about this a lot, about the truth coming out, and it needs to come out and all of that. And I've realized, actually, we got to be careful with that. Because once the cat's out of the bag, that's it. Just think about just local law enforcement and how easily the population can overwhelm them. And before you know it, it's no longer about justice for the crimes that were committed through or whatever. Then it's just vigilantes out there, opportunists out there, robbing, looting, whatever, random violence. It's forget about the vindication, forget about everyone knowing the truth and thinking that, just because the lights turned on doesn't mean someone's going to wake up out of their sleep, and so you got to think about all the implications of this. And I think that's probably why the Trump administration does have to be careful about what they're releasing and realize this, or I'll be watching something and I'll be like, if only they'd just seen this and understand what I was talking about. But I think you just get to the point where you're like, at the end of the day, does it really matter? You're right. We saw the truth. We did what was right for us in our family, and there's, they have their own consequences and their own karma to deal with the decisions that they've made. That's kind of on them.
Yeah, and justice will eventually come around. But what I've realized throughout the years is that, justice is served in its own time, and usually by the time that justice is served, it doesn't feel quite as good as you expected it to feel because it takes so long. It's by the time that it happens, it's man, I've already gotten over that. But it's glad I'm glad to know
I've moved on.
Yeah, I'm glad to know that justice was served, but very, very rarely is justice served in the moment where you want it served, and it would be the most potent, which is unfortunate, but that's usually the way that it goes, because you're dealing with someone else's, karma and lessons that they have to learn. And so the universe is always going to give them the time, to learn the lesson, as karma is served very slowly in its own way.
All right, you guys, let's get back to it. Did at any time the human race live for a long time in the Adenic state where they were able to use bodies and still have spiritual connection? Yes, but not long. No addiction takes long to close the circle. Question, Laura. So mankind was addicted to pleasuring the self? Became quickly. How long from the time of moving of the souls into the bodies did the fall of Eden occur? Not measurable. Remember, Laura, there is no time when this event occurred. Time passage illusion did not exist at the point, as well as many other falsehoods. Now, I want to say, too, when they talk about pleasuring the self, they're not just talking about schmecks. They're talking about all sorts of pleasures. They're talking about overeating. They're talking about being manipulative. Anything that pleasures the ego, right? Okay. Question. These many other falsehoods that you mentioned, can you tell us about a couple? We know that the first one is time. You must learn on your own. Question, Laura. One of my kids wants to know what the Loch Ness monster is. We've covered the Loch Ness. I'm going to tag that video down below. Long time ago. Serpent, 40 feet long average. There are 51 in the lake. They live in a underwater cavern system and are leftovers from pre-cataclysmic times. Are there any huge monsters at the bottom of the ocean? Giant squid about 1,000 feet long. There are about 20,000 of them, more or less. Are they leftover dinosaurs in the jungles of Africa or South America? No. Is a vegetarian style of eating food good for one? Not usually. Now, they're going to get into this. Todd talks about this too. What did human beings eat before the fall? Vegetarian. So until we go through the transition, we are not really designed to be vegetarian. Correct. What would we be able to use this source to do readings for other people to give them information they might need? Open. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the whole vegetarian thing. So eating meat, eating animals is a service to self action. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. To eat an animal is the negative polarity. Now, when we fell, we went into service to self bodies. So our bodies, we've spoken about this before. We are souled beings, some of us, who are trying to go service to others, to positive, in a body that's designed to service to self. Have you ever seen somebody get so aggressive about eating meat? They get so aggressive. They want to prove you wrong, that you need to eat meat. They get aggressive. That aggression is coming from the service to self, the negative polarity. So this is a conundrum for us. Now, I've been a vegetarian since I was 14. I'm 42 now. I do not think that there is any excuse to eat meat, in my personal opinion. It is your choice, but I find it quite disgusting, actually. Because we, especially in 2025, we can make alterations to get the protein that our body needs. Now, within animal fats, though, so I'm not a vegan. So if we can get butter, cheese, that can milk nicely from animals, not abusing them, but get it nicely, then that should satiate the body's need and longing without actually hurting another living being, if that makes sense. In our pure state, we do not eat meat. We don't do it because it's not okay. I mean, think about that. Like, logically think about that. You are causing a being that you have dominance over to suffer just to feed you. Like, that's crazy. That's enslavement. That's crazy. So what they're saying is, for us to be vegetarians, it's going to conflict with our animalistic desires because we are in a demonic body, basically. So we have to understand this. Now, in order to graduate service to others, you only have to be 51% service to others. So there is some laws of forgiveness, but you got to pick, right? And it's something for everybody to think about. Before the fall, we would have never eaten. That's crazy. That's crazy to even think about eating meat before the fall. Countries like India is 80% of India is vegetarian. All the Indians I know in India are vegetarian, and they all live to be over 100 years old. So riddle me that, Batman. All right. So until we go through so we are not designed to be vegetarian because we're in service to self bodies. Would we be able to use a source? Open. So we've already been through this. So again, so this is why a lot of people, I want to just reiterate this real quickly. If you guys have questions, ask me below. We crave meat because our bodies are service to self bodies. So it is up to you. Do you want to fall into the service to self category by continuing to try to justify the eating of meat? We know we're going to crave it because we're in demonic bodies. So that's going to happen. There's going to be craving of that because of the bodies that we're in. But you as a souled person need to make the decision. We want to make sure we stay healthy. We don't want to martyr ourselves. But if we take time to study food, to understand what we need, minerals, all that kind of stuff, We can get that through. There's more protein in what broccoli than there is in a steak anyway. Like, we could try to figure out a way. I've done it. I'm 42. Most of my life, I have not been eating meat. But we can also take the animal fats from like butter or milk or cheese and make sure we are taking it in a very nonviolent way, like old school milking of the cows, not like they do it now. And so that's something that each individual, especially if you're interested in the law of one and you're interested in going service to others, this is something that each individual is going to have to sit down and think about. Is it worth it to you? Every time you feel a craving for meat, understand that craving is coming from the service to self genetic makeup of your body. It's not coming from your soul. So, is it worth it? Or can you figure out a way to not hurt another living being, but also give your body the nutrients it needs? It's been done. I do it. Catherine Edwards does it. India does it. It can be done. It just takes a little bit more effort on your part. Is the suffering of another living being worth it to you? That's what you have to think about. And that's every single person's decision to make. You going to go positive? Or are you going to go negative? If most of your life you're doing things in service to others, then you might have some walls of forgiveness with eating meat. But if most of your life is questionable, eating meat might be a more serious sin. It's up to you. I would like to know if the teachings of Jerdef were in any way accurate or near the truth. Open. Let's go ahead for those who don't know, and let's go ahead and talk about him like we did on Monday. Alrighty. So this was someone who obviously, worked around the same time as Helena Blavatsky, the spiritualist movement. Let's see here. So, and again, we're going to use Wikipedia. Like I said Monday, I know Wikipedia is not super reliable, but for our purpose, just as an overview, it's fine. All right, so he was born in 1866, anywhere between circa 11-year period here, 1866 to 1877, and he passed away on the 29th of October 1949. He was a philosopher, mystic, spiritual teacher, composer, and a movements teacher. Born in the Russian Empire, he briefly became a citizen of the First Republic of Armenia after its formation in 1918, but fled the impending Red Army invasion of Armenia in 1920, which rendered him stateless. All right. So he was definitely, in the early 1920s, he applied for British citizenship, but his application was denied. He then settled in France, where he lived and taught for the rest of his life. Jerdef, I have a hard time saying his name. I apologize, guys. Jerdef taught that people were not conscious of themselves and thus lived their lives in state of hypnotic waking sleep, but that it was possible to awaken to a higher state of consciousness and serve our purpose as human beings. Okay. So The Fourth Way is a very famous spiritual book. We might go over that at some point on this channel. We'll see. Jerdef's teachings has inspired the formation of many groups around the world. So they're basically asking, like, was he on to something? They said it's open. It's open. And I kind of can see that, right? Like, there are some things that he says that do match some of the yoga philosophy. But maybe not totally accurate, because as human beings, we're not going to get everything totally right. Okay, we would like to know the source of information coming through Billy Meyer. Grays. He's not channeling Palladians? Was, but not now. All right, you guys, I'm familiar with Billy Meyer, and this is kind of funny to me. This is why you have to take all channeling with a grain of salt, right? Because people think they're channeling the right person, but most of the time they're not, especially if they get cocky or arrogant in their channeling and they don't continue to just double check to make sure that they are channeling good sources. So he's a ufologist. Again, let's look at him. So he is now channeling the Greys, who are lying to him and telling them that they're the Palladians, and they're not the Palladians, they're the Greys. And Monday, we learned the Greys were a manipulation of the Lizzies. So the Greys themselves don't have souls. They just work on behalf of the Lizzies. All right. So he was born February 3rd, 1937. My birthday is February 4th. Commonly nicknamed Billy, is the founder of the UFO religion called the, I'm not even going to try to say this in German. I apologize to my German-speaking viewers. Free Community of Interest of the Borders of Spiritual Scientists and Ufological Studies. Long name. An alleged contactee whose UFO photographs are claimed to show alien spacecrafts. Meyer claims to be in regular contact with extraterrestrial beings he calls the Plagiaron. He also presents other material during the 1970s, such as metal samples, sound recordings, and film footage. Meyer claims to be the seventh reincarnation of the six prophets common to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam: Enoch, Elijah, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Emmanuel, Jesus, and Muhammad. Bullshit! I'm sorry. Bullshit. That pisses me off. That actually, Billy Meyer, you little narcissist, you. No wonder the Greys can manipulate you. Who in their right mind, who in their ever-loving, the audacity of some people, I tell you, the audacity, who in their right mind would sit up and say, it's me. I'm the savior. I'm this incredible soul who's been all these famous people that just happen to cross paths with like the three major religions on the earth. So therefore, you must bow down to me because I'm special. The audacity. Billy, bro, we all prophets. Every last one of us are prophets. And if you are trying to get people to venerate another human being over our own selves, which is why I actually, even though I say we're all prophets, I don't even like the word prophet, because that's tricking people into venerating another human being over their own selves. We all have a connection to God. You don't need Billy Meyer or Enoch or Elijah or Isaiah, you don't need any of these people to tell you what your relationship is with God. The gaslighting of it all. The audacity. Billy, come on, man. Not cool. Not cool. Meyer has been widely, I know who Billy Meyer is, but I didn't know this shit. I didn't know that. That's bananas. No wonder the Greys can manipulate you because your ego's too big. You're not humble enough to take things with a grain of salt. Okay. Meyer has been widely characterized as a fraud by skeptics and ufologists who suggest that he uses models to hoax photos, claim to show alien spacecrafts, his prophecies. Yeah, so what do the kids say today? This dude is obviously very problematic. So that's quite funny. Be sure your sins will find you out. Billy, I hope you see him. You're 88. Who knows? You might be senile at this point. But bro, the Cassiopeans calling you out, man. You are talking. We would like to know the source of information coming through Billy Meyer. The Greys. He's not channeling Palladians. Was, but not now. Are the Manchurians associated with the Lizzies, name of an alien group given in a text we have read in Valerian's Matrix, I believe? Yes. So the Manchurians are associated with the Lizzies. Are the Manchurians assisting in abductions? No. Are the Manchurians on the planet at this time? No. Are they nearby our planet? No. Are they in any way involved with the activities going on the planet at this time? No. Are they slaves of the Lizzies? No. Are they living on a free will planet? Yes, all are. How tall are they? 11 feet tall, average, but in fourth density realm. Do they eat? No. Do they reproduce mechanically? When the Earth becomes a fourth density, will we eat differently? Will we still reproduce differently? Will people still have sexual relations? Wait and see for yourself. Absorbs nutrients through the skin. We talked about this in the exact last reading. So again, I don't know why Laura keeps saying that the last reading was such a negative experience and keeps blaming Frank for it when literally we're getting the same information here. Literally, as she is channeling now, she's getting the exact same information Frank got the day before, but for some reason, Frank was like not accurate. Like, it's wild to me. I hope, you know, I'm going to go through this more, but I hope she sees that now, the manipulation that was going on here. In the same way, so wait and see for yourself, absorb nutrients through the skin in the same way the Lizzies and the Greys do. They are level 4. They also absorb nutrients through their skin. Yes, what nutrients do they use? Many. What sources do they use for their nutrients? Answered by Frank in previous sessions. They're like, girl, we just told you this yesterday. We went through it on Monday, but the last reading was the 22nd of October. This is the 23rd of October. They're like, girl, stop trying to make Frank look bad. It's just making you look bad. We told you this already. Are you saying that we will be feeding ourselves the same way? No. Is it true they throw people in the blender and then absorb their bodies? Close. Was Jeffrey Dahmer abducted by the Lizzies at an early age? Yes. Did he get his perversions from the Lizzies? Yes. Is he genetically connected to the Lizzies? No. I have a book in the bedroom called The Paw Tapes, channeled by a gal named Johnny King. Who is Johnny King channeling? Herself. I've never heard of this before. Let's just look at this quickly. Hold on one second. I'm just going to look it up with you guys. But I love that this came up because my ass has been saying this for a really long time. Most of the people on the YouTubes that claim to be channeling are literally taking from their imagination. Like, it's literally just all it is their imagination. It's not channeled. It's their fucking imagination. And a lot of times you can tell if it's their imagination because they won't be, when they put their channelings out, they won't be shadow banned. They don't deal with spiritual attacks, right? So this is they. So she was born and educated in New Zealand. Her first contact was the Palladian entity Ptah in 1947 and occurred near the remote home of her parents among the pine forest near somewhere in New Zealand. So they're saying this is all her imagination. It's herself. She's not talking to a Palladian. So be sure your sins will find you out, you guys. If you're out there claiming to channel, just know that the freaking Cassiopeians might call you out. That'd be embarrassing. So just be honest, guys. Like, get over your egos, humble yourself. There we go. We want to know about the raw material by Elkins, Ruckert, and McCarthy. Where is the raw material coming from? Us. So that's the law of one. So she's just now found this law of one, which is basically all that was being channeled yesterday for her, Monday for us. Would you say that the raw material came through a clear channel? Yes. If we had a book with the inscriptions from the city of I can never say it, Mohenjo-Daro, there we go, Mohenjo-Daro, would you be able to translate them for us? Maybe. Who built Stonehenge? Druids. Who were the Druids? Early Aryan group. How did they move the stones and set them up? Sound wave focus. Try it yourself. Coral Castle. Do you guys know what that is? Our foreigners, I think the Americans know what that is. Let's show it for the people who are not American. So I think he's saying, I've never seen this before, you guys. I keep wanting to. When we're in Florida a lot, but the Coral Castle, it's this crazy, this guy, like, there's a whole story around it. Let's just look at it quickly because it's crazy. The Coral Castle is an online limestone structure created by Latvian-American eccentric. When I die, can someone please call me an eccentric too? It comprises numerous large stones, each weighing several tons, sculpted into a variety of shapes, including slabs, walls, tables, chairs, a crescent moon, a water fountain, and a sundial. Even though Coral Castle is noted for the claim that it was built single-handedly by Led Sacklin, using reverse magnetism or supernatural abilities, photographs and eyewitness accounts, evidence that he used pulleys and other simple tools, is currently privately operated tourist attraction located in Miami-Dade County, Florida. So it's near Miami. So basically, now they're saying that I believe the Cassiopeians, because basically, let's go back to images. Let me go back here and show you guys, for our people who are not aware of this, show you the pictures. So he claimed to have built this himself, and people are like, no, you didn't. It's like a Stonehenge. You couldn't have. And he's like, no, I did it through like sound waves. I did it myself. And I think that when they say people have pictures, I think they're faked pictures, because I don't think they want people to know that it's possible. Because basically, this is kind of like Stonehenge. It's not, the purpose is different than Stonehenge's purpose, but it was constructed in the same manner. He was able to move these rocks and create this garden based on sound frequency, from what I understand, just like they claim Stonehenge was created. All right. So when we have this, so they're saying that he did this basically the same way that the Druids created Stonehenge. And if you want to know more about the Druids, guys, check out our St. Patrick's Day episode that we did a couple weeks ago. I'll tag that down below, where we talk more about the Druids. Who taught the Druids to use sound waves? They knew, handed down. When was Stonehenge built? 6,000 approximate BC. What was Stonehenge built to do or to be used for? Energy director. What is this energy to be directed to? All things. Was the energy to be directed outward or inward to the center? Both. Are you suggesting we should get together and try to move something with sound? Yes. Does this sound come from our bodies? Learn, Laura. You will find answer through discovery. Don't be lazy. Learn. Practice for yourself. It says that in Kabbalah that when a group of people meets regularly with intent and purpose to acquire spiritual awareness, that they create what's called a vessel. Is this what we have done these past 3 years? Yes. Now, since we have created this vessel into which this information can flow, can we add other people to use and benefit of this vessel? Maybe. We have heard about a movie called The Puppet Master. Is this movie a depiction of the truth? Close. Were the events surrounding the unaliving of JFK depicted correctly in the Oliver Stone movie JFK? Close. Now, you guys, you might recognize this because this is the reading that I pulled up to do last week, and I told you guys that the form changed on me overnight, so I figured like the Cassiopeians wanted us to go over the soul smashing, this most soul smashing video. So, is it true he was shot by his own bodyguard? No. Why was he unalived? Corruption. Was he the one who was corrupt? Too many facts to discuss in this medium. Did Marilyn Monroe unalive herself? No. Was she unalived? Yes. Was she unalived because of her connection with JFK? Yes. What did she know that made them want to unalive her? A lot. Who was the man in the velvet or iron mask who was imprisoned by Louis the 14th? An heir to the throne. If that was an heir, the relation was he was to be the king, bastard son, using your terminology. Did Elvis Presley really leave? Yes. Is he really in his grave? Yes. Did he unalive from an overdose? Close heart attack. Listen, Linda. Hold on, you guys. We're going to call some shenanigans out. Who is the pastor claiming to be Elvis? So, this is the guy that everybody, all the shenanigans that everybody thinks is actually Elvis. I've even heard, you guys, this is Looney Tunes. Like, everyone in the truther community needs to wake the fuck up. You truthers are so fucking asleep. It's not even crazy. The powers that be, the establishment, the Illumishmani is laughing at you. You are a joke to them because you have believed hook, line, and sinker every piece of fake news they have injected into the truther community. If you are not aware, how can you riddle me this, Batman? How can you realize that the mainstream media is lying to you, but did not realize that the alternative media is also lying to you? Like, that is a level of stupidity that I just cannot understand. This talking head on this TV network is lying to me, but this talking head on this TV network is not lying to me. Wake the fuck up. You know who wants you to believe this dude is Elvis? The Illuminati. The Illuminati, because they want you in a junk conspiracy cul-de-sac, spinning in circles, chasing your tail. So look over here, so you're not looking over there. Oh, and you know what? This guy who's actually Elvis, he's going to come in and save you. And he's going to bring you a med bed that's going to make you all skinny and young again. And then he's going to give you like a couple $1,000,000. So just don't do anything. Don't do anything. Just sit on your fat ass. Don't pay your credit card bills. Eat junk food, because guess what? Jailhouse Rock is coming in to save you because you're special. You're a little entitled, specialist little narcissist. And you don't have to do anything because this guy is going to come. And how many truthers fell for this shit? How many of them are so entitled and have such narcissistic personality disorders that they think that it's their prerogative to be saved by some rock star who's now a pastor. Like the aliens laugh at us too. Like the cabal has you right where they want you. Elvis is dead. And even if he weren't dead, what would it matter to you? He's responsible for himself and his family. He's not Trump. Trump is Trump. If you still believe that certain people are wearing masks and pretending to save you, you need to be in a loony bin. There's no special elite force that's worthy of rescuing people. Remember, we're all special. And because of that, you have to take your life into your own hands. It's not Pastor Joyce's responsibility to save you. It's not Elvis Presley's responsibility to save you. It's not Donald Trump's responsibility to save you. It's your responsibility to save you. Because if you, please go back and watch the soul smashing episode. Because if you believe this lie that you're a helpless little flower and for doing nothing, you deserve millions of dollars. For doing no work on yourself, you deserve to be skinny. I don't even know what to say anymore. That is literally, you need to be in a mental hospital. Like if you truly believe this, you need to find a therapist. You need to take some self-reflection. Because if you actually believe this shit, you're what's holding us back. You're the problem. You're the problem. Work on yourself. Fix your shit. Get your shit together. No med bed is going to fix you. You have to fix you. I get up every morning at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I work out for like 2 hours, 6 days a week. I watch what I eat. I do that for myself to make sure I'm healthy. What gives you the right to think that you don't have to also do that? That you just get a quick fix, a magical pill. You know that wishful thinking? So this wishful thinking shit, that's all service to self. That's all part of the negative. That's the demonic path. So all of you truthers who think that you're God's chosen people, you're actually on the demonic path. Wake up. And you are slowing the rest of us down. You are slowing us down. Wake up. Wake up, because I want to go to fourth density. I like third density. There's lots of cool stuff in third density, but I'm tired of spinning my wheels, working on myself day in and day out, trying to do the best I can for myself. And then I've got these people on Telegram who are literally dead weight to the rest of us. You're dead weight. Pull your own weight. I'm not your fucking slave. Trump is not your slave. Elvis Presley is not your slave. Fucking vultures and vampires, I swear to God. Anyway, I love it when the Cassiopeians tell it like it is. He's gone, guys. He's not alive. on this earth plane. He's somewhere else right now, and that's his soul's choice. His soul is not in service to you. Okay. Do the tabloids print truth about the UFOs? Very often. Now, this is what's interesting. Was the woman who reappeared in Berlin, who said she was Princess Anastasia, really who she said she was? There's been a lot of books claiming she was not, that a DNA test on the tissue sample proved she was not. However, this was done after she had died, and there were powerful reasons to dismiss her claim, so that there was motivation to either fake this test or replace it with tissue samples with another. The most compelling book about her claims used sophisticated analysis, including intel agencies developed ear matching techniques to prove that she was the Grand Duchess Anastasia. Yes, so that I did research into this, and I thought she wasn't because of all the DNA testing, but they're saying yes, she was. Now, with this being said, you guys, still it doesn't matter. The Romanovs aren't going to save you. Melania is not a Romanov, you guys. She's Melania. The Romanovs were also, for the most part, pretty Illuminati. I did a whole deep dive into the Romanovs. They were not good people. Get your head out of your ass. Save yourself. Save yourself. And you know, anyway, sorry about that, guys. It blows my mind. It hurts my soul. After all the experiences I've had with truly poverty-stricken people in India, and then I see Americans, and they talk about this Nasara and how they're going to buy a private plane and a private yacht. Are you that greedy? Are you that out of touch? Having a good life is not about your material possessions. Having a good life is living that life, moving your body, working hard, making a difference. It's not being on a yacht in the middle of the ocean. No one owes you that. Understand, nobody owes you that. Has the government stolen money from us? Yeah, but no one owes you a yacht. No one owes you a get quick scheme. No one owes you a magical med bed, a tanning bed that you get in that zaps 100 pounds off of you. No one owes you that. The world owes you nothing. The world owes you nothing. But you owe yourself something. You owe it to yourself. The world doesn't owe you a thing. No one is enslaved to you. You're all mad about the way things are and how the government has enslaved us. Well, isn't it interesting that now you're behaving like the government should be enslaved to you? That's interesting, isn't it? Check yourself. It doesn't matter what you know. That's not going to get you to ascend. It matters how you behave towards yourself and towards others. And if you're just sitting around eating bonbons, waiting for Nasara, waiting for a med bed, then you've become a martyr. And you're going negative. Do your research. Read the Law of One. Read the Cassiopeans. I will help you. If you need help getting started exercising and you realize you fucked up, email me. I'll help you. I'll help you. I have the Esoteric Academy. You can't afford the Esoteric Academy? I'll give you some pointers. But take care of you. Because the way that most truthers are behaving right now, this is why we haven't gone anywhere. Anyway, all right, you guys. Sorry for that tangent. It just makes me so upset. It just makes me so upset. I love my little Indian slum kids. I've done so much for them, and I just look at these Americans and these people from first world countries that just pretend like their life's so bad and how dare everybody just, I'm like, you have no idea how lucky you actually are. You are so blessed compared to a huge chunk of people in the world. You're so blessed. And to be behaving this way, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to have people in my country who behave this way. The American dream is about you being an innovator for yourself. Not that somebody else is. That's not the American dream. The American dream isn't to be here and be pampered and taken care of. The American dream is that you are the power that innovates and supports yourself. So if you're an American behaving this way, get your shit together. Get your shit together. That's not what our country is about. That's not what being awake is about. That's not what being a seeker is about. You guys, hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. Let me know. I found that stuff so interesting. What do you think about 51 Loch Ness monsters? I guess we need to come up with 51 different names, don't we? So anyway, you guys, lots of love to you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I will talk to you all very, very